Oh, sure, Makenge. It's your girl, Mimi Africa. Back on the Monday morning thing, back on Love Unpacked, week 8, session 8, episode 8. Call it what you want. We've been discussing love now for 2 months. I didn't think it would get this far. And honestly, there's still a lot to unpack, but I can't verbalize a lot of it. So I think we can wrap it up for now, and maybe we'll revisit it in the near coming future. Because wow, there's so much depth to this four-letter word. I want to wrap it up. I want to wrap up this conversation. I want to wrap it up with a conversation about trauma bonding. Right? I came across a video that talked about trauma bonding and how if you don't deal with your traumas, they reproduce themselves in your relationships. We have some water because, hey, it's a lot. So we started and we went through many avenues to get to week 8. We talked about self-love. We talked about love languages, being loved wrong, and then perceiving that you're not loved at all because the person on the other end is loving you with the capacity that they have, but it's not reaching where you need it to, right? We talked about communication, the silent conversations that we have. You know those? The silent arguments that you have at the end of the night? The scenarios that don't happen that exist in your head. We talked about that. We talked about communication. We talked about self-love. We explored many avenues in terms of love and relationship. We talked about boundaries, the evolution of relationships and how to try and maintain that. Because some people are seasonal. It's true. Some people are lifetime, but even in the lifetime, the evolution must happen. And for it to happen organically, then we must be present for the transformation. And I think it helps. It helps a lot when you're cognizant of the transformation so that you can identify yourself when you're acting out of character. So traumas, guys. Traumas, traumas. So I've been in this for 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months. I've been doing an inventory, of my relationships, stock take. I've been checking which ones survived, which ones are here lingering that need to end, which ones seem long term, which ones in my life at this moment are seasonal, and I must treat them as such. I must be fully present, but be cognizant of the fact that it's not forever. I've been looking at how I relate with humans in general, but men specifically. I think if you can track our conversations over the last eight weeks, I haven't gone too much in depth with romantic relationships because when I did my stock take of my relationships, I realized that the ones I fail at the most are the romantic ones. I've pinpointed a few reasons, but one of them is this trauma bonding. There's 2 major traumas in my life that I've experienced that have shaped how I relate with men. One, I was raped at about age 3. And thank you to our schooling system, when I was 12, I was taught about what consent was. And only then did the trauma set, because then I understood how violated I was, right? But what that happened in the interim before I understood the violation was I was a hypersexual child. I wasn't sexually active, but I think if you're my generation, you know, we're this season of Emmanuel, the 12 o'clock porn on ETV. I was a little child watching that stuff. No need, no sexual relations in my life, no boyfriend. But I was watching that stuff, and there was something about it that kept me going back. I didn't know what it was. Then later I realized, okay, I was hypersexualized because the act was performed unwillingly, but introduced in a time and season it wasn't supposed to be. My second trauma was that I never met my mother where she was in her love language. And so, as being a perfectionist and being a hard woman, Buhale. I never felt loved by her. I never felt like I could achieve anything that's of value to her, you know. Now pair these two things, right? What sexual assault does is that it makes you devalue yourself, your body. Sex is a thing. It's not an intimate activity between two people connected on a certain level. No, it's a thing, you know. It's an act. I mean, it's a by the way. And then compare it or add that to the fact that I felt devalued by the person I valued the most. Not to say she devalued me, but like I felt that way, you know. And then to feel that way then by the person who you value the most means that you feel worthless. And so this fed into my relationship with men where I struggled to commit. The reason I struggled to commit was I refused for the longest time in my life, more than 2 decades, to date someone I loved or to date someone I was interested in. So if I was asked out, my first question to myself was, how much do I love this guy? If he were to break up with me, would it break me? And if the answer is yes, that would mean that I love him, right? I would not date him. I refused. Because I don't want to put myself through that trauma. So that means that for at least 2 decades, possibly more, in my life, I was not loving people I loved. Relationshipically, romantically. You know. And to be honest, when I was asked out, I was very shocked because what do you want? So that also tells you something. Relationships were transactional for me. And if I didn't feel like they were transactional. So in that sense, it was a matter of maybe I give you jokes and you give me good morning texts. I don't know. I can't weigh it. And I'm not saying they were transactional in a sexual manner, because I wasn't really sexually active for that part of my life. Became sexually active very late. But even by the time I got there, obviously then my idea of sex is warped. And the relations, that idea is warped in the sense that there's no value added to it, you know. So there have been many traumas in our life. Mental health, né? But those are the two main ones that groomed how I became me. And so I don't remember being able to have a functional relationship until late. In the last 10 years, I think that's even less. That's when I started having functional romantic relationships. Valuable romantic relationships. Romantic relationships that build. All my relationships, because I wasn't dating people I liked, were relationships that were obviously passing. And for that reason, I never had a relationship in that time longer than 2 or 3 months, you know. So how the trauma built and groomed me is such that it would continue to reproduce itself, that trauma. Because trauma that's not dealt with, it reproduces itself in your relationships. And so because in my life I felt undervalued, I would seek out unavailable people. People that are not there for my growth. You know. People that are not there for building me. People that are there to take. And would feel nothing wrong. And I didn't see anything wrong because I was of the mindset that that's my primary existence. People come and they take and they leave. You know. And so unavailable people will make you question your worth. And that wasn't a foreign exercise for me. Because, like, why aren't you making time for me? Why aren't you calling? How am I giving you gifts and all you have to offer is the breath in your lungs, you know? So trauma bonding is a real thing. Trauma bonding is a big fuck up in our society, because people think that they're in relationships for love. I remember one of the relationships I was in. I talked about it in one of these episodes where I was fucked and he was fucked. So broken. So broken. And somehow the both of us thought that by dating each other, being broken, we would fix each other. How can a broken tool fix another broken tool? You know what I mean? And so I've resolved some of these issues on a few levels. There's still a lot more work to do. But I'm at a place right now where I'm not walking into a situation where I'm settling for less or even harm. You know, it's one thing to settle for less, but it's another thing to actively seek out harm. You know, I'm grateful that in this journey that I never came across a relationship that was physically abusive. I don't know if that's better or worse, because mental and soul scars and spiritual scars, those things take so long to fix. You know, self-hate is a big thing. It was a big thing in my life. I think I only started being able to value myself in the last decade, and it was hard work. Because I remember when I got a mentor for the first time, and we were trying to build this self-confidence thing, and the first thing she taught me, this woman, was to look in the mirror and just compliment myself. It was torture. To come to a list of 5 things, it was torture. I was bawling. I was crying. Because I never saw any value in myself. So we're closing this off there on the self-love point. Because trauma reproduces trauma. So if you're not dealing with your trauma and the last person was beating you or the last person was gaslighting you, or you're going to go into a situation again and you're going to also attract that because that's who you are. It's what you are. It's the space you're in. So you're going to meet people that are in the space that you're in, you know. But when you decide elevation is now your pursuit, when you decide that better is now your pursuit, you're going to love in spite of your trauma. And you're going to love better than what your trauma taught you to do. So just because people loved you and said they loved you and they came to take and left, that's not what you're going to do anymore. And because my relationships romantically have always been dysfunctional, I always then also focused on building the others and maintaining the others, the associations, the friendships, you know. And now I'm at a place where, look, if we're messing around, let's mess around, it's fine. But every interaction touches your soul. Even the ones you think of that don't mean anything, they touch your soul. So what I'm saying is, look at the way you love in relation to how you were loved earlier in your life, and you'll see a pattern. You'll see a pattern. Controversial topic. Promiscuity. It seems also that it's a fashion these days, promiscuity, right? But how much of that is trauma? How much is that? Like, there's so many, for instance, for me, so I'm doing psychology, and I have a vested interest in people's emotions and their minds. And a lot of people that I've came across who are promiscuous. I'm not saying that all people that are promiscuous are rape victims, but a lot of people that I know that are rape victims are promiscuous. And you want to think that this person doesn't value themselves. You want to think that this person, but of course they don't value themselves. Something that was valuable was taken from them. Unwillingly. In a violent manner. It was taken. And so whoever that person was that violated them was telling them that your body means nothing. And so even if they've never said it with their mouths, that my body means nothing, they think that of themselves. And so promiscuity is a thing. It's a possibility. Violence. Those people who beat have been beaten, whether physically or otherwise. Most people who have accepted beatings were raised in a way where it was said that that is love. And the reason those people they can't leave, you check them out, it's because they don't know better and they don't think that they are any better than what they're receiving. So trauma bonding, guys. Trauma bonding. Oh, trauma bonding, guys. So let's check ourselves. Let's do a stock take. I've been doing a stock take of my relationships, And I'm starting to see now that there's value after putting in some work in adding worth in myself and restoring that worth. I'm starting to see value, but before, I need to fucking mode because you know. So if you check where your traumas are situated, if you check those landmarks where those things happened, you'll see why the state of your relationship is as it is now. Yeah, let's wrap this up. We'll still call the segment Love Unpacked, but or maybe we're not wrapping it up. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what revelations come and epiphanies, but trauma bonding. Trauma bonding. My gang. Like, we're a hurt society. We are a hurt generation. We are broken. So yeah, let's meet. Let's meet in the inbox. Let's meet on the comments. Let's share. Let's DM. Let's talk. Let's heal. Ngoba kuningi, and it keeps getting kuningia. Mighty warrior. Sharp, guys. See you on the next Monday morning thing. If the topic allows me to leave it alone, we'll start on a new topic. Explore a new journey. If it's still pestering my spirit, I guess we'll unpack love some more. Let's heal, guys.